Welcome to the Real Estate Marketing Podcast. My name is Jerome Lewis. I'm your host for today. The Real Estate Marketing Podcast is a podcast where we talk marketing, tech, business, and leadership. We talk these things for real estate agents, real estate investors, and real estate entrepreneurs. The Real Estate Marketing Podcast is a podcast that has two purposes. Purpose number one, to educate and inform our audience and listeners. Purpose number two, Sue, to spotlight you, your business, your service, or your product in a way that provides value to you, including market exposure and content creation. With that, we have a very special guest. I'm excited, y'all, because of her accent. That's like what's got me going. Sue Sundstrom is a book strategist, author of 5 books, a book coach, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur. She is the founder of the Right Now Method and the 5-Day Right Now Challenge, an online training event which has been attended by thousands of aspiring writers. She is also the creator of a writing group coaching program, which is helping hundreds all over the world learn how to write and publish their books, and the owner of Book Breakthrough Publishing, which provides a done-for-you publishing service for entrepreneurs looking to have their authority-building book published quickly and easily with minimum fuss and effort, leveraging it for tons of new leads and clients. That's important, y'all. So like some people write books just to write books, but you got to get leads, you got to get clients, you got to make money from your book. Sue is most passionate about helping people achieve their dreams, especially to produce a quality book and see their dream come to life and out into the world, impacting others. She lives in, how do I say that, Sue? Surrey, with her husband, 2 teenage boys, and little dog called Chocolate. Sue, I'm excited that you're here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad you like my accent.
Yes, I love your accent. I appreciate your accent. So,
and that could be the reason I've been invited onto this podcast.
Yeah, that among some other things. I love her accent, y'all. So, Sue, I just read your professional bio. Could you tell us in your own words how you got to where you got to? Take us on a journey.
Sure. Well, I actually have always loved writing. I've always been quite passionate about it. I discovered that I had natural talent for it at quite a young age in biology class with a friend of mine, and we were very, very bored. Our teacher was super dull, and I think she was talking about cleaning bones. And so my friend and I, age 14, decided to write a book. So we sat at the back of biology class and started writing this fiction, princess, castle, monster story. My friend Kathy got bored of it, but I realized I was just really into this and really enjoyed it. And so I took it home and I finished it. And I wrote the whole thing. So a complete story at age 14. And then did nothing with it because had no guidance, had no idea there was anything I could do with it. And so never got it published. So it was at the back of my mind always as a dream. And it wasn't until years later that I actually finally wrote a book that got published. And after that, I was so passionate about it. I knew I had tons of books in me, and I know I still have way more in me. But I loved the idea of helping others, especially once I'd actually finally found out how to do it, got some coaching on it. I wanted to see others empowered in this way because so many people feel like it's a big thing and a difficult thing. And so many people want to write a book but fail to do it. You know, only 1% of people actually do it. And 81% of people in the US actually want to write a book. So I then started my business in COVID of all times, and it just exploded. I guess a lot of people were coming online who weren't normally online, and I was doing online virtual events. And maybe people had more space and time to think and actually write a book. So ended up being the perfect time, it seemed. And so it just grew and grew and grew. And now thousands and thousands of people have come to my live events. And that led to initially one-to-one coaching, but then I ended up with too many one-to-one clients. So I had to move to group. So then I started group coaching, and then I decided to create my own publishing company so I could actually help people who didn't want to go through all the aspects of publishing. They didn't have the time. did not have the desire to figure it out and wanted to just hand it over to someone. And I've heard so many people talk about other publishers who charge huge amounts of money, and then they can barely get hold of them. They don't answer their messages. They don't reply to their emails. They have like they don't have a dedicated person. And I just love to have the pleasure and the joy to actually work with people personally and give them a real quality service, and just set myself apart in that regard. It seems like it's actually not hard to be able to stand apart as a publisher just by giving people a quality service and replying to their emails within a day or two.
Thank you for sharing that, Sue. I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm been so jealous because I haven't been able to join Sue's challenge on writing a book, because she did like a few cohorts and it was women only. So hopefully she got some stuff for some men in the future, because I love what Sue does. I love what she does.
Oh, thank you. I do. I know for quite a while I was only serving women. I love empowering women. And like you, I had a few more men just coming, and I had some men sneaking in to the events every time. I'd have a few men sneaking in. Sometimes they'd stay off camera. Some of them would just come on camera. And so more and more men were kind of approaching me, and I'd been thinking for a while that I wanted to broaden what I do, and I wanted to serve business owners more. And so, yes, hooray, men can now join my events. I've got one for entrepreneurs coming up in a couple of weeks' time, and it's for men and women.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just love what you do, and I'm like a big advocate of books. And like you, I didn't even I kind of stumbled across the idea. I didn't have the passion like you, but I stumbled across the idea. I paid for a coach, and she was like, we were creating what's called lead magnets. We're creating lead magnets. She's like, we used to do books, and I'm like, oh, well, how can I do a book? And she was like, this is how you do a book. And then because a lot of us creating content, we're already doing all of that work, answering questions, posing our authority. Like, we're already doing that stuff. And she was like, you just like the formatting. And then she helped me format. I was like, oh my God, this is like an amazing idea. And nobody wants to do this. Referencing your stats, like 81% of people want to do it, but only 1% of people get it done. So even that, I'm like, you know what? I like to be part of the minority. And I was like, I'm going to get me a book done. So one of the things that you mentioned, though, Sue, you said that it's not a big task. I'm going to challenge you. I think it is a big task. I just think you found a way to make it easier and for people to get over that big hump and that big task. Because I think if it wasn't big, more people would get it done. And like the process, it depends on what process that they go through. And it's like, okay, I can do this. I can achieve this. So what do you have to say about me challenging you on that?
Yes, you and a lot of people think it's hard, especially that it's time consuming. But the process that I teach a lot of people is a 15-minute a day process.
Okay.
And people find that almost revolutionary because they just never, ever even thought about doing it that way. They figured that they would have to hide in a cave for 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months, 1 year, and finally get their book out. And when I break it down, I show people that if they just write 300 words a day, which can take only 15 minutes, so I can write double that, I would say, in 15 minutes. So I'll say to people, okay, 300 words, I can do it in 8 minutes. You could totally do 300 words in 15 minutes if you do it the way I teach as well, which is just doing it without editing and literally without overthinking as well. There's a lot of overthinking that slows people down. And so if they do just 15 minutes a day, 300 words, in 6 months' time, they will have a 50,000 word book, which is a substantial size for a nonfiction book. In fact, these days, people's attention span is really even shorter, as I'm sure you've noticed, than 10 years ago. People just don't have attention anymore. And so it's better sometimes to write something even shorter. So you could do like a 30,000 word book. So I teach people how to write like something like that. So 50,000 if they want to write 50,000, 60,000, that's great. But if they just get into the habit of writing regularly for 30 days or 60 days, they can literally have a complete draft just written. And then you just get someone to edit it, get someone to make a publisher ready for you if you don't want to get that done. And hey, presto, you got a book done.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Can you tell us about a common myth in regards to like putting a book together?
A common myth. Well, apart from the one that it's hard to write, which I still think is a myth because, like you say, everyone writes anyway. I mean, every day you're writing an email, every day you're writing a text message to someone. So, a big myth people have is that they're not a writer, number one, or that you have to be born a writer or born creative to be really good as a writer. But I disagree because, number one, I actually think that we are all creative beings. A lot of us just haven't recognized our creativity, or we haven't tapped into our creativity. We haven't given ourselves the space and the time to think creatively. And then number two, thinking that you have to be a good writer to write a good book, again, is a myth because it's a skill like any other skill. So every skill is learnable. So I love to just bust that myth for people and just teach them some simple writing techniques that just really up level the way they're writing already. And they are writing already, and they are writing probably in a cohesive way that is at least understandable because they're writing emails every day. They're writing messages to their spouse every day, or their kids, or their friends, or whatever.
All right. So this question might sound similar, and if it does, if it's too close, you just tell me, right? So, what is one thing about like the process of writing and putting a book together in this like what you do like so what's one thing in regards to your field of expertise that almost no one agrees with you about? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that no one agrees with me about is
Yes.
that I have to be a writer to write a book, that they have to be super qualified to write a book, I would say as well. So you have to be an expert to write a book. A lot of people believe that quite strongly. And the reality is that if you've just read a few books on any subject, say around 3 books, I believe the statistic is, then you've read more than around 80% of people on that subject. So you know more than 80% of people on that subject if you've just read around 3 books on that subject. So, and then the other thing is you don't have to be the number one expert to actually have something valuable to say and write in a book. So that's a big myth that people have that just stops them. There's so much self-doubt. So there are so many people out there, say entrepreneurs or specialists in their field, who really know their field, they really know their subject. But because they're looking at someone who's done it for 20 years, or they're looking at the number one expert, they're telling themselves, there's no point in me writing the book. No one's going to read it. I don't know enough. And the reality is, they know more than the average person. They know more than so many people. And they just need to be one step ahead of who they want to help in their book. And they can just specify who their reader is, pick who their reader is, and then just use the right messaging that calls out to that particular reader. And they, as I say, they don't have to be number one in order to bring so much value and actually change people's lives. The other thing is, so many just stop right there, just at the idea phase, because they feel like their book has been written already, their topic has been written already. And of course it has. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. So of course someone's already written about real estate like you, about marriage, about writing, about anything, but no one has written it like you. No one has your unique stories. No one has your unique personality. No one has your unique point of view. And if someone's interested in a subject, I don't know if you've noticed, but if you really like a subject, you're going to read more than one book on that topic. So who cares if there's 10? What if you were author number 11 and someone really loves that topic and they want to read 11 books on that topic, or you author number 6. So there's always going to be more voices, and it's actually just a sign that there's a hungry market for that topic. No one is writing about the duck-billed platypus, and maybe they are. It's writing about the what a duck-billed platypus likes to eat during the wintertime. Maybe someone's writing about that, but not many people, perhaps in nature books for children. But you get you get the drift of what I'm trying to say. So if there is a topic that's just not being written about then by anybody, then it probably means that there is no market and no hunger for that. So competition is a good thing.
Thank you. Tell us a productivity hack that you have for like writing a book that people could use.
Well, this is the biggest one of all. And it's the biggest one that relates to any creative piece of work that you want to do, anything related to your business that you want to do as well. And that is put the darn phone away. Put it in another room. In fact, if you really want to massively increase your productivity, remove your social media apps from your phone. At the very least, turn off the notifications. When I turned off the notifications on my phone, it made me so much more focused. And there was one app where I literally turned it back on because I was waiting for a reply from someone. I can't believe the difference that it made. How many times it just interrupted me, how many times I just saw it and it would just nag at me to tap on it and go and look. It makes a huge difference. So if you've got any kind of notification on your computer while you're writing, on your phone, anywhere, like sounds, you have to have the sounds off at the very least. Ideally, have your phone in another room because we're all addicted. We're all addicted to our phones.
Thank you for sharing that. I keep my phone on silent because I look at it so much anyway, right? So
yeah.
It's a good hack. People are like, what if somebody calls or messages? I'm like, you're looking at it anyway, so just put it on silent so it doesn't disrupt you.
Yeah, totally. And there are ways where you can let certain calls through from certain numbers, but nobody else. So there is a setting on your phone where you can block any other calls for a certain period of time, but only let in certain numbers. So if something really is urgent, then they can phone you and those few numbers can come through. Otherwise, just tell your team you're unavailable. Tell, whoever you need to tell you're unavailable for 2-hour block, 3-hour block, whatever you need.
Thank you. Did you see me bending over, like looking for something?
Oh, no. Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So could you tell us about these? First, number one.
Oh, yes, that was number one. So that I've been fascinated with the subject of purpose for a very long time.
So tell for the ones that can't see what we're talking about, tell them what I'm holding up.
So he's holding up my book and it's literally called Purpose, God's Plan, Your Adventure. And it's on obviously the subject of purpose. So finding your destiny, finding your purpose and navigating it. So some of the things that can stop you from finding your purpose and some of the keys to actually fulfilling your purpose. And I've been fascinated with that subject for years and years. And so I've literally combed the Bible related to that subject over and over again, and also read tons of books. Remember, I was talking about, if you're interested in the topic, I've read tons of books on that subject, and I wanted to write something on it. And that initially I thought was going to be like a blog post or a series of blog posts. And I realized suddenly it was a book. And I got inspired to write that actually after attending a writing event myself. And I got so inspired that I wrote for 3 hours a day for 3 weeks. And I wrote at least 30,000 words in like literally a 3 week period. I wrote the bulk of the draft of that book in a 3 week period. And then obviously I then did some tidying up in that for months afterwards. But the outline of it is kind of a download to me as well, where I just got P's. Every chapter has a P in it. So, for example, purpose takes perseverance. Purpose requires a price. I can't remember the others, but anyway, they're all P's, and yeah, and all of those are specific keys to fulfilling your purpose. Like you have to have perseverance. Like there is a price attached. You've got to pay the price, whether it's investing in your talent, whether it's a time price, giving up other things, whatever it is. So yeah.
Thank you. Tell us where can we get a copy?
You can get that from Amazon. So that's available online at Amazon. I think it's available on my website as well, but Amazon's the easiest place worldwide, as with the other books as well.
Tell us about this one.
Living Your Faith Adventure. So I wrote that one a couple of years ago. So that's a devotional, 21-day devotional. And yeah, it's 21 days and 21 ways to step out and trust God more. So that was a compilation based on like very normal kind of daily life and how God can speak to you in your normal daily life, and just an encouragement to people to step out on those little promptings that he gives because of the amazing and miraculous things that can happen. So like someone was healed because of a prompting. I brought someone into a relationship with God. There were a few people actually because of a prompting. And then there was something miraculous that happened for my son. There are just a number of things, but it all started with just like little promptings. And am I going to do it? Am I going to take this little risk or this big risk? Am I going to do it? Am I not? So it's just to encourage people to be bold and just step out when they feel like they're getting that whisper, like that inner knowing, that inner whisper.
Okay. And tell us where we can get a copy of this one.
That also on Amazon, if you search for the title and my name.
All right, thank you. And so when I was reading your bio, it said you're author of 5 books. We just talked about 2. You might have more than 5 by now. Could you tell us a little more?
There is a children's book. It's called Afternoon Tea with the Moon. And it's for young children, probably age 4 to 7. It's a rhyming children's book. And it speaks to gratitude. And it helps encourage little children to be more grateful, because I've noticed a bit of a trend with entitlement. I don't know if you've noticed that. A bit of a trend with this generation of children. And so it, in a very fun and lighthearted way, it encourages them to not be entitled and be grateful for what they have. So through the use of rhyme and just kind of fun story. It's kind of a ridiculous story. It's a little girl called Emily, and she gets more and more demanding, and her demands get more and more ridiculous, to the point where she wants the moon flown down via a jet plane and situated next to her bedroom window. And it causes chaos in the town. So I won't tell you the end. That's the middle. And then I wrote a book on writing as well, and I've produced a couple of workbooks. So one is like end of year reflections. Another one is actually also on writing. So picking a great book title and subtitle. So like 50 best-selling titles and subtitles for books. That's another one that I've created. And then I've written a book on writing called,
Okay. So
yeah.
I'm personally interested in the book on writing. Could you how can I get access to that? Is that on
Um,
Amazon too?
yeah, it is geared towards women, but I'm
Listen.
going to read it
It's
anyway.
2024, so you know we can like change gender sometimes, right? So
I know, and you can I know you can just let your inner feminine, power out. Right?
right.
Just channel the feminine in you and just read it, because it's called Write It Now, Woman of God.
Okay, I'm gonna buy it. Write it now, woman of God. I'm gonna buy that today. Right now, woman of God.
Write
All
It Now,
right,
Woman of God. But
write it now.
you will enjoy it, because look, the content is the same. The content
Okay.
is the same. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So one of the things that I really wanted to hear from you is your process of like putting a book together, right? Because we have like you do both. I kind of like I'll do just like a straight fiction lead magnet business book, right?
Yeah.
And that's like a process. And then you do both. So you have like you've written Purpose, you've written Live Your Faith Adventure. Those are like different style of a book. And then you have the Right Now Woman of God book. So can you tell us a little about like is that process the same? Is it different? What's the process like for writing those different types of books?
Yeah, sure. So yes, absolutely. There's different genres and there's different length books, and there's obviously fiction and nonfiction, and even within the nonfiction space, there's different genres. Like you say, there's devotional, there's just a straight nonfiction, which is teaching. So potentially just teaching on a topic. It could be with the purposes of building a business and getting more clients, or it could be, a business book, and yet that's also obviously content driven, and it's how to. Then there's memoirs, that's also nonfiction, but it's more story based. So yes, there are differences, and even though there are differences, storytelling kind of comes into all of them. So with the outline, for example, the fiction, like the children's book that I wrote, something like the story arc framework is great for that. And I teach that in my classes. And that's just, it's a storytelling framework that helps people kind of decide on their plot, along with some character stuff as well. When it comes to fiction, you're thinking more about a character and character descriptions. You're thinking about settings and location, and you're thinking about plot, and you're thinking about making sure you have conflict in your plot, and you want it to keep the reader engaged. And so there's conflict, there's problems, there's transformation that the character will go through, and there's what's called the resolution. Whereas in nonfiction, you have less of that, but it's still important to put stories in nonfiction. And you can use a storytelling framework, but it's in a more mini version. You kind of have mini stories in a nonfiction. When it comes to an outline of a nonfiction, it's generally more, it's decided more based on the content rather than an arc of a story. So yeah, it could be, what is your process? You have like, you do A, B, and C, and you get a certain result. So your chapters could be A, B, and C, and then conclusion, or like in Purpose, there wasn't necessarily a specific order to say like a step 1 to 10, but there were principles. So I felt that there were principles to someone finding their destiny and fulfilling it. But there were some things that should come near the beginning of the book and some near the end. So you want them to kind of understand how to find their purpose before you then telling them how to navigate it. So Yeah, I mean, there's definite differences, and every book is unique as well. But generally, stories towards the beginning, even in a nonfiction, because you want to connect more with your audience. That's a good way to connect with them. And a fiction is just one big story and multiple stories within an overarching story.
Thank you. So the what's, I guess, eerie, maybe not eerie, but here's something interesting. In my space, right, and the client that I serve, generally women. So right now, Women of God is probably a good place to start for them, right? Like if you want to go do it yourself, you want to go get Sue's book. You go get. I'm going to get the book, and I'm not a woman, but I'm going to get the book, bro, because I love Sue and I love her process and I love what she does. So I wanted you to tell us more about some of your coaching and like some of the other services that you provide. So can you talk about some of that, please?
Sure. So yeah, obviously I do group coaching for women of faith, and that's if they want to write anything from a children's book to a YA, which stands for young adult, so young adult or adult fiction, through to devotionals, memoirs. I have a lot of ladies come who want to write their story, so their testimony of what they've overcome. So it could be trauma that they've overcome, could be an addiction they've overcome, it could be domestic abuse or loss, grief, of some sort, narcissism. So, I mean, you name it. I've had a couple of clients write about abusive relationships they've come out of. Another client who's had abortion, she's writing about it. And really, it's that's more memoir, but some of them have kind of more memoir with some how to. So it's their story, but they're also wanting to give some guidance and help to other people who may be going through the same thing and are more at the beginning of that journey. So we have a group where we get together. I teach how to write and structure a memoir. If they want to write that, how to structure a devotional, if they want to do that, if it's straight nonfiction. So just the different structure for each, and then keep them accountable to writing it, obviously, which really comes from being in the community. And we have challenges within the community as well. And I teach writing techniques, so storytelling techniques and just how to write well, just some guidelines of how to enhance your writing, and then how to publish their book as well. So that's more of a do it yourself, but we come in and we teach you, and you're in community that'll kind of keep you motivated and keep you going to the finish line. That is why only 1% of people do it. It's mainly that. It's you get in the messy middle, you get stuck, you're starting to find it hard, you lose momentum, or all the self-doubt starts kicking in, like who's going to read this? Is my writing good enough? All of that. So we help just push people just to keep going and kind of, um, break some of those lies that are trying to come, and just keep them motivated. And I do one to
How,
one.
how can we learn about the group coaching? How can we, like, if I was interested, I'm like, I just listened to Jerome and Sue. I'm interested in a program. How would I get involved?
Best way, probably just email me at sue@suesundstrom.com, and or reach out to me on Facebook. That's fine, and generally we'll get on a call and you can find out more. The same with the one-to-one or the done for you publishing. So that I can do any stage of the book writing process, if you know what I mean. So some people, they've written it already and then they come to me, they want it edited, so they want it tidied up, they want it improved in terms of the writing, and they want all the publishing handled for them. Then I can do that. Some people come to me and they haven't even started yet, but they want to work one-to-one. So I will coach them one-to-one. I will help them to write it, keep them accountable, and then also handle all the publishing. So those are the two main things that I do. And also, I have a group for entrepreneurs where, again, teach them how to write. We have a challenge to get them writing quickly and get it done fast. It's a challenge within a program, and then they can either do done for you publishing with me, or they can watch my training and do it themselves. And I also have a couple of book funnel offers. So if they want to put it in a book funnel, then I can show them how to put it in a book funnel. So
tell us what a book funnel is.
okay. So all right, a book funnel is simply a funnel. Do you think your audience know what a funnel is, or would you like me to explain that?
I would like you to explain it. Yeah, some will, some won't. But
okay,
yeah, what's your
okay, a funnel is essentially, it's a website, but it's a website with a specific purpose. So each page on that website has just one call to action. So a book funnel is using a book to get people onto your email list, and then potentially also selling them other things over and above the book if they get the book. So there's two ways the book funnel can be used. So there's two different types of book funnels. There's a few, but the two that I leverage are the free one and the paid one. So the first one, which is actually, if you look at my pinned post on my Facebook, that is a book funnel. So literally that post there. So that is a free one, and it offers a digital copy of my book for free in exchange for an email address. So people just click on the link. I've told people about it organically, but you can post it anywhere where you're allowed to post it, and people go to that page, and literally that funnel is just that one page which says, hey, do you want this book? And hey, this is why this book is great and why you should get it. And so they put in their email and their name, and it automatically, once they do that, sends them the book via email. So it's all set up just for that automation process to happen. What's also automated, which I also teach people, is a series of 5 emails after that they will get after a series of days spaced apart. Each email will just deliver more content and start to nurture the relationship. And then at some point, one of those emails will say, hey, do you want to book a call? Do you want to find out more? Do you want some coaching with me potentially? So that is a great way to use a book as an entrepreneur. So that's the free one. And that one in particular that I have literally only put on my Facebook profile has had 384 people join my email list just organically from that. And that number will be growing all the time. So that's just literally over a period of months. So then the paid one, now what you do is you just up leveling it. It's a more advanced level. And that is when you run Facebook ads to a funnel again. But the goal is to make it self-liquidating. And so they buy the book. You don't offer it for free. Well, some people do that. That is a model as well. But if you want to try and make back your ad spend, they buy the book, and then obviously only a percentage of people will. But then once they buy it, they then get to the next page, the next website page or funnel page, and then that one offers them something else for just a little bit more. That's optional. A certain percentage will take that. And then there's another upsell for even more, say $67 or $97. And so again, that's a way of getting people onto your email list, who can then become clients. So another way just to use the book funnel is go and speak. So you can speak, for example, on a podcast, or I've spoken on summits. So one summit I spoke on, I just spoke for 20 minutes on a summit someone else organized. I gave them my purpose book for free, which is sitting in a book funnel with a simple URL, purposebook.co.uk. 50 people took me up on that, joined my email list. At least 2 of them have become clients for thousands and thousands. So it's just a great way to get quality leads, because readers are leaders. So people who want books are better quality buyers, generally speaking, than people who would just grab like a 10-minute training that you offer for free, or a 15-minute training. Those tend to be your kind of distracted people who will grab for anything, not necessarily quality leads. So when you offer up a book, you are generally going to get better quality leads, and a percentage of them will turn into clients.
Thank you for sharing that, because I forgot all about that. I let people get in my head like people don't read books. So I'm like, people do read books. Maybe not many, but what you just said is so vital. Readers are leaders, and those are the people that I generally want to serve. Leaders, people that are willing to do what it takes. Like, you know what? I need this information. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to figure out how to learn or apply this information. So thank you for sharing that. That is so important. Not everybody's going to do it, and that's okay. But I don't want everybody. I want the leaders.
It won't be, of course, it won't be everybody, but just like everybody who joins your email list for any other reason is not going to buy from you. It definitely, but probably 5%, around 5 to 10% are immediately ready to buy, and then the other 85%, probably about 10 or 20% will never buy. But there's at least like another 50% who are interested, who will buy at some point. They're just not ready straight away. So that's why you need to continue nurturing them on an email list. And if you look at top CEOs, they all read books. Ask any top CEOs, multimillionaires, billionaires, they read books. And the fact is, different people consume different ways. Some love to read, some love to watch, some love to just plain scroll. So, some love to listen, some like to read, some like to watch. It's making sure, I would say, you have every available medium so that you reach every type of buyer. But literally, the people who read are better educated. They generally earn more. They generally are quicker to buy and invest in coaching or some sort of service.
Thank you, Sue. I appreciate that. I'm going to get us wrapped up. I've been holding you a little bit too long. Could you tell us one of your favorite case studies, like your favorite, someone came through, maybe they had nothing, or maybe they had a decent book, or what, but just share one of your favorite case studies. Tell us a little bit about that.
I'll tell you a touching story, actually, which has got nothing to do with business, but it just it touched my heart, and I love it. I mean, there's a bunch of stories of people where just things transform for them, and just some amazing things happen. But this one, very recent, and really touched my heart, and it's a mother. Her name's Jennifer. So she joined my children's book class, so to learn how to write a children's book. And in my one coaching class, I actually mentioned to everyone that I led them through an exercise. Actually, I said, if you've got something hard in your life, you can turn it around. You can turn it into something good. I was just I like to help people work at their mindset as well as the actual writing, because it helps a lot. Trust me, it helps a lot to actually finish any worthy goal. And so I was talking about hard things and just taking the lessons out of hard things. It's something that I learned from someone else. And this mother took it away, and unbeknownst to me, she had a 13-year-old daughter who for a couple of years had been going through incredible pain, and it was unexplained illness. The doctors couldn't even figure out what was causing all her pain. And she was going through such an incredibly hard time. She was being bullied at school. She had to use a wheelchair. She couldn't run and play. She couldn't do anything that she normally loved to do. And they were going through a seriously tough time. This mother shared this exercise with her 13-year-old daughter and encouraged her to write a book. And she did. And she wrote a rhyming children's book in 3 days. And it was the story of like the wind in her. She called it the wind. It's called Abby and the Wind. And it's literally about this wind that was just like causing chaos inside her body. And it gave her such a sense of purpose. They were so excited. She is now published, literally, and a journalist got a hold of her story. It's been published in the local newspaper and also in a magazine. And this little girl now is a published author at age 13. She's also had a real turnaround with her illness. A lot of the pain has gone, but now also they've been invited to go and speak in the school and share the story around their book. And the mother she's actually had yeses to about 3 schools. She plans on now just taking this around the country to schools throughout the country, because it's a book that speaks to, like, if you're different as a child, if you're going through something that makes you seem different, it's a positive message of accepting children who are different. So I just see a movement starting out of this. It's just amazing. And it's done so much for mother and daughter. They so excited. I've got on Zoom with this 13-year-old girl who I didn't even anticipate, really my coaching having a ripple effect on a published 13-year-old. But I've now met her, chatted to her, told her how proud I am of her, and it's just touched my heart so much. And the whole community I'm in have got behind this girl, have been praying for her, and just love her. And it's one of the favorite things that's happened to me in the last year.
Thank you for sharing that. That is that's a beautiful story. If you have like some links or an article or something like that, I'll be happy to put it in the show notes when you get a hold of it. So.
I have the newspaper article. I'll send it to you.
All right, perfect. How can someone add immediate value to you or your business? So,
how could they add? Well, to tell anyone who wants to write a book to come my way. That's how they could add value to me.
Okay. How can they add long-term value?
Long-term value by writing that book.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's going to impact more people. I love the fact that I help people to write a book, which is going to help people. So it's just has this multiplier effect.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite questions to ask on the show when we're wrapping up is, what are 3 books you recommend to the audience and why? We've been talking about books the entire episode. Tell us about 3 books you recommend and why you recommend it.
I find that really hard because there's so many good books.
I know. I like part of I like seeing people like, oh man, I gotta pick 3. I like to enjoy that. Yeah.
Picking is really hard. And I don't know if these are the top 3, they just come to mind, but obviously a classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People, such a classic. Sometimes I think we need to reread that book probably every few years. And then The Millionaire Next Door, obviously another classic, so good. More recently, I'm reading Atomic Habits, really enjoying it. Very, very good habit formation book. And a book on, if you are someone who believes in God, called The Power of Right Believing by Joseph Prince. In fact, anything by Joseph Prince is really, really good if you're someone who wants to know more about God and how to understand the Bible better. He is amazing, like anything that he writes. And I've got my Kindle. I've got like hundreds probably of books on my Kindle. And so I've already said more than 3, haven't I? But yeah, exactly what to say. That's another good business book. And Who Not How I have heard, but it's on my list to read, and I haven't read it yet. But really, really good for business. So I'm looking more into um, team leadership books, obviously that kind of things, systems and processes, and how to scale a business. So scaling up, I've heard, is really good. Who Not How is really good for that. I've just read 10x is easier than 2x. That was also a good book, Benjamin Hardy. So yeah, no, I'm definitely giving you more than three. I couldn't stick to three.
All good. I like more than three. That's okay. So here's my next question. How do I ask this? Oh, what is one question you wish I had asked you, and how would you have answered?
Oh, I don't think there's any question I wish you would
Okay.
ask me. I think you did
Okay.
good.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Where can listeners find out more about you online, Sue?
I would say probably come to my next event. Certainly, if you're an entrepreneur who thinks that you could grow your business through writing your book. You still haven't written a book to give you credibility, authority, and just generate leads, like I was saying. So that would be book to business breakthrough challenge.com. Book to business breakthrough challenge.com.
Okay. All right, Sue, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today. If you could close us out with one word, no explanation, what word would that be?
Expansion.
Expansion. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sue. I'm going to close this down. I want you to sit here for like 1 minute, and then, we'll wrap things up. Okay.
Thank you.
All
Yes,
right. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
All right.